John Bow beat Dodger in with hello. I've spoken to Dave on the phone a few times, and he was great, friendly, and a pleasure to talk with. Anyway, he asked me to submit a question. Dave did an in-store appearance at my local comic shop, The Incredible Pulp in Baldwin, New York. My friend Larry Mirando was the owner, and he encouraged a young me to try to venture out and read comics other than superhero titles. He was successful. How did you like your trip to Long Island? Did you enjoy the experience? Do you have any juicy gossip you would like to share? Thank you, John. You can find me on John's Long Box on YouTube, a channel where I host conversations with comic creators. This started with John leaving a phone message asking would I be interested in doing the John's Long Box podcast with him, and on YouTube. And I explained that this is the only Q&A that I'm doing is please hold for Dave Sim. 2.5 to 3 hours once a month. That covers it for me. But I don't want to rule anybody out. So anybody who does have a podcast and they're interested in asking a question, if you go with this format, I will answer your questions, and then you will have them for your podcast. So I'm hoping that you have an email address for John, and you'll be able to email him his segment of Please Hold. Can I ask that favor of you?
I'm just thinking. This was an email, not a Facebook thing, right? Yeah, this was an email. So yes, I should be able to just cut the segment, attach it, either attach it or send them a link to it, whichever, The internet sometimes says, hey, this is too big. I don't want to do this.
Right.
And that's when it goes in my Google Drive, which, it's in the cloud, and then I have to send somebody a link, and then they send me an email going, it wants you to approve me to have access, and I'm like, that was the purpose of the original email. I don't understand why I have to do this twice, but I do it twice because I don't argue with the internet anymore. Every time I try arguing with the internet, I get a headache.
Right. I'm not sure if this is another solution, but what Dave Fisher figured out to do was just download the thing onto YouTube, and it dumbs it down to email size on its own.
Yeah, I can do that too. I mean, I have options and I have resources, and sometimes I forget they exist.
Which is understandable. I have no experience with any of this, so my heart goes out to you.
Well, back when Kurtz versus Kurtz came out, I made a video where it's Steamboat Service at the wheel, dancing up and down, because there was the 2 pages.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was great.
Yeah, so I made the video and I used the Doors because that was the gag. And when I put it on YouTube, YouTube said, this is a copyright violation. You cannot share this publicly. It's still posted, and you can share a link privately, but not publicly. I'm like, okay, so I put it as an embedded video on the blog, and, it's got the link, and anybody can watch it. It had, I think 100 views, but you can't publicly post this. And I'm going, okay, sure.
Whatever. You're the internet. We live but to serve. So getting back to John, I did when I called him back to explain what the situation was. I said in the Cerebus Archive photo archive, I know there are photos of the Incredible Pulp signing in there, but I don't know if they've already been scanned and are out back at Camp David, or if they haven't been scanned, and I have to go through the box of photos that haven't been scanned and pull them up. And that's what I did today was, okay, I checked first here, and then I'll go back and look in the box that Rolly's got of the ones that he scanned and emailed to you and see if they're in there. And they were in the Off-White House box, not the Camp David box. And Rolly scanned all of them and has emailed them to you. So everybody should be able to see all of those photos of the Incredible Pulp signing, which were sent to me by somebody at the Incredible Pulp, because it's the prints have like rounded corners, and the only photos in the Cerebus archive that have rounded corners, and their photos are smaller, so it's like essentially what we're going to do with this is while everybody's looking at these photos, how did you like your trip to Long Island? It was great. I do remember the Incredible Pulp as a great store owner, Larry Mirando, and a great customer group. Absolutely no obnoxious fans, all very polite and all very educated, all very intelligent. And it's like, this doesn't happen all the time, so I'm just going to enjoy this as best I can. And I have to say that I think of all the store signings that I've done, I've had more people, like apart from Now and Then Books, I've had more people say to me, I saw you at Incredible Pulp, or didn't you do a signing at Incredible Pulp? Because it's one of those legendary stores. It wasn't I'm sure it's not the biggest store on Long Island, but it was everybody felt like a part of that store, and everybody will get a good laugh out of it because it's Dave Sim with the mullet haircut, short on top, long down the back. And what were we thinking of? The girls liked it at the time. It was the Billy Ray Cyrus time period, I think, or it was before that, but it was. And then they went, no, there's just too many ugly mullets for us. The ones that are nice are nice, but the ones that are like ugly are just ugly. The biggest experience that I remember from Incredible Pulp was I was collecting. That was when I was still collecting pre-Pearl Harbor DC superhero comics, which, very, very expensive taste, even at the time. And Larry had, I think, 3 books that I wanted. 2 of them, 3 or 4 books in his display case. 2 of them, I'm not even sure what they were. And they were in, like, not terrible shape, readable shape, but not wonderful shape. But what I do remember was he had an absolute showpiece copy of Detective Comics number 32, which is like the sixth appearance of Batman. And it's the second last non-Batman cover after Detective 27. And it's also the only storyline where Batman kills the monk who first appeared, as we all know, in Detective Comics number 31. That's him coming up the hill with Batman looming in the background on that Batman cover. This was the second part of that storyline. And Batman shoots to death the monk and Dalla, his daughter or his girl assistant, my memory is fuzzy these days. Anyway, it was a gorgeous copy of the book, and it's like this was one of the rare times where I was able to do what I wanted to do, which was trading service artwork for the comics. So Larry let me take the comics, and then I was faced with the question of, well, okay, I looked up the Overstreet value of the books, and then I'm going, okay, how many pages is that, and which pages are those? Because Larry was, that's fine, you want the books. They're not something that I specialize in. I'd really like the artwork. I'll take whatever you want to send me. And I don't know how long it took. It's like, in my mind, it was years. It's like, it wasn't years, Dave. It was maybe like months or something. But I didn't call Larry, and I didn't send him the artwork because I'm going, what artwork am I going to send him? And how many pages am I going to send him? And it's like at that time, I would guess that like grading is obviously very much stricter now than it was back then. But even in my mind's eye, what I would have considered at the time like a 9.8 is probably an 8.0, at least, or at least between a 6.0 and an 8.0. And it's like I'm going, well, okay, my most recent copy of the Overstreet Guide is the 2019-2020. Let's look this book up, and how much is that worth now? Let's say low ball 6 point, high ball 8 point. Low ball $5,000, high ball $12,000. And it's like I'm going, what pages did I end up sending Larry Mirando? And I'm going, does Larry remember what pages I sent him? Does Larry still have the pages? Did Larry sell the pages, and what did Larry sell the pages for? Because they were probably church and state, and probably pretty darn good church and state pages. What would they be going for now? Was it, it's a $6,000 book, and I traded them three $2,000 pages? At the time, they were probably about, $400 pages, and it was maybe the comic books together were $1,200. But that's what I remember most vividly from Larry Mirando's incredible pulp. So thinking, we might as well try and get some cross-pollination thing going here. Why don't, John, you post this as one of your John's Long Box episodes, and then say, Dave has some questions of his own at the end, and it would be, he said Larry Mirando still just lives around the corner from him, or not that far away. He doesn't see him all the time, but he sees him reasonably often. Can you have Larry on as a guest and say, here's what I remember of the Dave Sims signing, and look at all of the photos and go, do you recognize any of these customers? Like, some of them would be people that were just there for the signing, but some of them you're going to go, oh, that's who that is. And John, you might be in there. There are definitely some definite kids in the crowd, and you said you were pretty much just a kid at the time. And we'll bounce this back and forth. I would definitely be interested for the photo archive if you can, number the photos and say, okay, in photo number 4, this person and this person and this person are this person and this person and this person. The rest of the photos, I don't know. Anybody is in them. And that can then become part of the Cerebus archive. Not only do I have photos from the incredible pulp signing that people still refer to, but here in 2023, however long, 30, 40 years after the fact, here's who X number of people are in the photos.
I was wondering if you got photos from the graham cracker signing.
I have somewhere, yes. Again, I'm trying to place whether that's out back at Camp David or in the off lighthouse. There's not a lot of them.
Well, I mean, that's just the first signing I ever went to.
Was it?
Yeah. Because you were in Chicago and I live in Wisconsin. I'm like, they're going to be 3 hours away. I could totally do this. So I took the day off of work and went down.
I could walk there.
Well, not quite walk, but I mean, it was close enough that, I can make a day of this. I can go down, go to the signing, come home, and it'll work out. And of course, I don't know Chicago very well, and I was on, I don't even remember what the name of the street is. It's the main bisection of downtown Chicago, where everything for the one side is east and the other side is west. And I get down to the road that Graham Cracker is on, and it's a one-way, so you have to turn right. And I go down the block, get to the end of the road, and then it goes back onto the interstate or whatever. And I look, there's no comic store. What the hell am I doing wrong? And finally, I found a parking space and walked into a bank and said, "Can you tell me where this address is?" And the guy went, "Well, it's real simple. The road you're on cuts everything in half. You want east, you're on west." And I'm going, "Oh, that would make sense." And walk down 2 blocks, there it is. I'm going, I feel like a moron. That was also the sign. That was also the sign where I asked what happened to Cerebus's sword, because it wasn't in when he's leaving the bar at the end of end of Rick's story. When he's trying to leave, he thinks about he's leaving without the Vesta medallions, and there's a thought balloon of the Vesta medallions. But where's the sword? And you're like, he doesn't have it anymore. I'm like, no, yeah, he does. And I was confusing the scene in Mines where you're explaining what the medallions are. There's the helmet medallions and sword floating onto him and then turn to gold. But you had somebody hand you a copy of Reed's and flip to the page where the sword goes bye-bye, and I, kind of stood there like, yeah, let's not do this anymore.
I remember that. I remember vividly going, "Dick." No, I'm just. Okay, so yeah, leaving off, John. I hope we can get together. John's Long Box, and please hold for Dave Sim, Larry Mirando, and Dave Sim this many years later on. And this could be going on all the way through 2024.